Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics. This week's questions answered video, what is a good EDC belt? This question is kind of end user specific because everyday carry I don't know what your everyday carry is. Generally speaking, the more weight that you're going to carry as far as how much equipment you're going to carry for your everyday carry, I'm thinking more of along the lines of concealed, because most people when they think about exposed carry, they say duty belt instead of just EDC belt. So we're gonna go along those lines as a concealment belt, a belt that you're gonna use to conceal a firearm or whatever equipment that it is that you happen to carry on your person. First things first, self-defense focus. If you carry a firearm, the belt needs to be purpose-built for that. There's a lot of really great dress belts out there, depending on what your daily attire is, but they're not really gonna cut it because they're not designed with the carry of a firearm in mind for the most part. However, there are dress belts out there designed for people who carry firearms for a living. It's something you can get into. There's some really great leather out there, such as Mean Gene leather. Blade Tech makes a really good one. So if you need a dress belt for whatever environment that you happen to live/work in, or just how you want to dress, because we have to dress around the ground, but we also have our own particular styles when it comes to what we normally like to wear. I get that. So for those people, there are belts out there that will work. For those of us that only dress up on occasion or don't wear suits very often or don't really do business casual, it's a good idea to own one, but it's probably not going to be quote unquote your EDC belt. For me, my EDC belt has taken a bit of an evolution. Very first EDC belt, I still have it. This belt's damn near 20 years old. I bought it on the internet from Brigade Quartermasters. That's how long I've been shopping on the internet. I bought something from Brigade Quartermasters. Some of you have probably never heard of them. They used to be the shit when it came to shopping online, and they had a really great retail store. I think they had more than one. But they had one here in Atlanta that was like a playground. Unfortunately, they didn't keep up with the times, and I don't know if their internet side is still in business, but I know the retail side is closed. Anyway, this is a Spec Ops belt. Spec Ops was kind of like a knockoff, or not necessarily a knockoff, but a budget gear company making a lot of nylon. I bought this belt for like $19.99 and wore it for well over a decade. In fact, there are many times when I used this as my inner belt when I was wearing a duty belt. It was just a great, simple tension buckle. And it was just a really good belt, and I wore it for many years. I liked it because it was thin, but it was also wide enough that it gave good purchase for the clip on a firearm. At the time, I carried on the hip. When I made the transition to appendix carry, this belt just didn't cut it because it would draw the gun too deep into the body and was actually painful sitting in certain situations, and it didn't give me the greatest grasp for draw that I needed from that kind of belt. So I moved along, and the next belt was, of course, you're probably familiar with Cobra buckle belts. They're still really popular. This one's probably about, 5 years old. I like this belt because it's super stiff, but not so stiff that when I take my pants off, it looks like someone is still wearing them. Although Aries Gear still makes, I think it's the Ranger Enhanced, which will give you exactly that if that's what you want. If you want a belt that wears the pants and you just kind of hang out, you're along for the ride. So it was stiff enough to provide a stable draw platform and a stable platform for all my kit, while not being so stiff that it was actually uncomfortable to wear. Because for EDC, I don't want to feel like I have to thread a duty belt through my belt loops. My biggest problem with this belt has always been the Cobra buckle. Cobra buckles are great, don't get me wrong. However, when it was originally designed, I don't think they had its use as a belt buckle in mind. So it does have a little bit of play in it. It's not much, but it can cause the belt to kind of flex at the middle and form an unnatural V. A lot of guys get away from this by buckling off to the side, so their seating platform up front for appendix carry is smooth and uninterrupted, and that's definitely a route that you can take. I wished it was, just a little bit wider, but all things considered, this is still a really good belt. Depending on how you carry, it may work great for you, but it's not something that was going to work long-term for me, especially with appendix carry. It just became more of a hassle than it was a benefit when it came to wearing this belt. For about 4 months now, I've been using this belt. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with this type of buckle. This is super old school. However, it works great. I've always been a fan of the claw buckles. This is made by Blue Alpha Gear. This is actually a really inexpensive belt. It's got a Velcro just like you'd get from a Cobra buckle belt, but I don't have that flex at the buckle like I can get from a Cobra buckle belt. Can get, not necessarily going to get. What appeals to me about this belt, other than the cost, is it's true to size. It gives me a really good seating platform, a really good stable platform for the attachment of firearms. When my gun is worn, it's just right in there, and that's exactly what I want. I don't want a lot of excess material, but I need enough belt, I need enough rigidity that it's going to provide a stable draw platform, because the belt is going to provide the stability that you need to draw the firearm. If you have a weak belt, or a belt that's not purpose-built for a gun, when you go to seat and get your master grip to draw, you can actually drive the holster down lower into your pants, which compromises your ability to draw the gun stably, like you would like to. As far as other features go, I don't like a belt that I can't thread through my belt loops. My go-to jeans or Levi's goes right through them. I have some Arc'teryx pants, I have some Columbia pants, I have a lot of proper pants. This works with all of them, and that's great. The Cobra buckle required disassembly with most of the pants I was going to wear, and that was a little bit aggravating. I mean, yeah, you know, once it's on there, but I like something that's a little easier to put on. So the Blue Alpha Gear belt has been my personal favorite, and I'm going to continue to use it. I don't really see any drawbacks. You know, granted, it's just a belt. It's a loop of fabric designed to hold our pants up and keep our gun in a stable position, and that's pretty much it. When it comes to new technology, like the wheel has already been invented, I don't see anybody really reinventing the wheel when it comes to belt technology. It's always going to be the focus of the buckle, because as far as fabric and stitching, we've pretty much got that down. So in the future, I might find something I like a little bit better, but for right now, this is it. It's got that same rigidity I want, like you're going to get from an Aries or a Jones or something like that. But for me, the buckle system makes way more sense. It's sized, it's ready to go. If I'm going to wear the same pants the next day, it's click, put my gear on, good to go. Now, I don't go overboard with EDC. I don't carry the kitchen sink, so to speak. I carry what I feel that I prudently need based on odds and stakes. So firearms per magazine. That's pretty much the only thing that are supported by the belt itself, generally speaking. Sometimes I carry a second spare magazine depending on what I'm doing. When I'm teaching, same thing, use the same belt, and it's worked great. So I hope that answers the question. As far as checklists go, very specific when you're shopping for a belt, it's got to fit your attire, it's got to fit the environment in which you're going to wear it in. Those of us, or those of you, I should say, that have to work in a business environment, your belt needs are going to be a little bit different than mine. You may not be able to pull off a nylon tactical looking belt in your polo and khakis, which is understandable. So there are companies out there that provide belts for you. For everybody else, for those of you that wear the untucked t-shirt or the button up or what have you, the world is, you know, pretty much your oyster when it comes to belt choosing. But look for something that's going to give you great stability. It's not going to be a pain to feed through those belt loops, and is going to provide a buckle system that's going to hold up to the rigors of everyday life as well as training. You can wear a belt out really, really quickly if it wasn't designed for firearms, just by carrying it with a holster. I've seen some leather belts that just every now and then I get a student whose belt isn't purpose built, and you can tell by the fact that the leather has just been stressed to the point that it's no longer providing a stable shooting platform or stable seating platform for the holster. If your belt's in that condition, get rid of it. Find something else, get a new belt. Most people are like, I can't believe there's so much that goes into belts. Those of you that have been carrying a firearm for a while, you know that, like, okay, the belt really, really matters. So choose your belts accordingly. I'm Aaron Cowan with Sage Dynamics. Train accordingly.